Okay, so here we are. Let's start replacing some parts. Start doing some work here. So in the kit is this foam, which is used to replace what is left of the crap that's here. So in order to place this in, I needed to take off this vacuum modulator. So that bolts in like so, and you can see this would actually go down on this shaft and hold it in place. Well, I needed to unbolt that and get that out of the way in order to be able to put this thing down in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape it in place, and then I'm going to put the two housing pieces together, and then I'm going to run it through its paces up and down to make sure that I don't have any spot where this is like, I don't know if I need to trim this a little bit. So I just want to make sure that this thing actually doesn't hang up anywhere, because the last thing I want to do is put it back together and then have this down inside there and then be stuck in like the up position here. So I'm going to tape this down, and then we'll take a look and see how the operation looks. All right, so I got a couple of screws holding it together, and I put the modulator, slid it back onto the shaft here, and then tightened down the 2 3/8 nuts. And I've been running this back and forth, and it looks like that's pretty good. It seems like there's a little bit of drag, but it's actually not that bad. Let me switch over to the other side. Let's hook this one up. That pulls it up in there pretty good. It's just a little bit of drag. Yeah, I think what I'm going to do, because it looks like when this thing moves, there's some overlap. So there's some overlap on both sides here, where I guess this is kind of supposed to seal off this area. And let's flip this around. And then if you look inside here, you can see these ledges up in here. So it kind of seals against this too. So with that all the way up, it kind of sits against, so there's a little bit of a lip, so I think I've got just a little bit of leeway. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim just a hair off of both sides to eliminate that drag, just so this thing doesn't end up going wonky and getting stuck in one spot in there. So now I can take this back apart and trim that up, and we'll get on to the next thing. So the kit also comes with the piece to replace the rubber around this door. I'm going to flip this over so you can see this. But the door, I noticed when it was together, this seal was actually pretty good. And this is actually in really good shape. It's still very malleable. The rubber still feels very nice. So I'm not going to replace this. This isn't good enough shape. It's still soft. It's not brittle. If this were torn, if there was something going on with it, I would definitely take this, and basically you put it in place. I think it goes like this because it has that arm down there. And then it comes with a bunch of little clips, and you basically just go around, you clip this whole thing in, and it holds it in place. But mine is in such good shape, I'm going to leave mine alone. So for this, I'm going to call it done, because I'm not going to mess with this anymore. So now we've got just this piece. We've got the housing back apart. Go in here, take these 3/8 nuts back out again, and we're going to get this door out. And then with the door out, I think I'm going to do is, because it's all these, there's a couple of air baffles in here, and this blend door, it's all bare metal, and it's all got surface rust on it. So I think what I'm going to do, this is the trickiest part, is getting this rod to come up off of this. I just had to get it down into my lap where I could get it on both sides and pull it up. So once it's off, we'll just remove this out. Come out, why don't you? There it is. All right, set that off to the side. And then we're going to take, actually, you know what? Let me leave that back in there so I have an idea of what it looks like. If I turn this around, so now with that plunger arm off, this should, you can see that it's just looped onto this shaft, and it's held on in such a way that it just holds it on the shaft. So I should be able to pull this straight up and off of this. So this shaft, in case you're doing this, this is how I was doing it. So get the front of the shaft and the back of this knuckle and then push it until it's buried. And then you can flip it over and there's the same slots on the back side. So then I get this slot, bring it over, squeeze it to that point, and then back to the front, and then just keep repeating that process until the shaft is slid all the way out. And I should be just about, I'm hoping once I get past this one, then it might actually let go. There it is. And I didn't break anything. So all right, so now this is out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hit this with the wire wheel and get all this old crud off of it. And I'm going to clean this up. And I'm actually going to take all these parts were bare metal. So I like the idea the air that's coming into the car that I'm breathing is just slowly oxidizing inside. So I actually bought some Rust-Oleum rusty metal primer, and I'm going to paint everything, and I'm going to put a coat of gloss black on it and then put everything back together. So hopefully the gloss black will kind of cut down on dust and stuff grabbing onto it. So anyway, so that's the door. It's off. Now I just got to clean it up and put it back together. And we're back. That was satisfying too. Just taking all that crap off of this thing. Goodness. So the back is gloss black, and this side and this foam piece are going to get glued together. So we're going to put these down, and I'm going to use a little bit of this 3M trim adhesive, and I'm going to hit both parts. And now we wait. Once both of these get tacky, then we'll put the two of them together and they'll be together for the rest of their lives. So let's wait a minute or so, let it do its work. Now we've let this dry up enough to where it is just a little tacky. You want this to be pretty dry, and you would think these aren't going to stick together now. When I put these together, they're never coming apart. So I've got to make sure when it goes together, I got it right the first time, because there'll be no second time. So that lines right up with that. Right. A little bit of overage, but not much. Yes. Okay, so now, and I trimmed just the slightest little bit off, and then the spot here where it was dragging on the bolt head, I just put a little tiny moon shape in there, and then right up here I just cut a little bit of the corner because that was dragging on the housing. That is good to go. Yeah, that's not coming off anymore. All right. So, I'm going to give that a second to sit, and I've got one of the air baffles that goes inside here is drying, so I got to wait for paint. So, be back in a sec. All right, now we're ready to start reassembling. Took the time to clean the inside of the case. This is the only part that I didn't actually take outside and wash, just because there was no gunk on it. There's no butyl on this stuff back here, so I am going to sit this down, and then we'll get our plate back in here. This is our air baffle, as the factory calls it. We'll get our screws back in. All right, that is much better. Got a good coat of primer and some gloss paint on it, so that way this is going to stay looking nice for a very long time. So now let's turn this around and let's get our door back in. So it's got to go in this way. Hopefully I can get this down in place without any issue. It's a tight fit, but it does go. So that is right where it needs to be. Let's go ahead and put our vacuum actuator back in. So I tried to clean this thing up, this shaft, so this would go back on a little easier. This thing is finicky. Gotta have it at just right angle. There it is. Wants to go down. There we go. And then we'll take our 2 nuts and screw them back in 3/8. Okay, that is back in place. You can hear the diaphragm's working. So let's clear this stuff out of the way, and I'm going to get the other part of the housing up here, get them bolted together, and then make sure that this thing is functioning just the way I want it to. Okay, so with the case up here, let's go ahead and get this back in. Okay. So if you remember from the disassembly, this is one of the first things I took off, and then I had to take one of the screws out and turn this baffle down to get it out. And then after I was completely done with it, I figured out I didn't need to do that at all. Literally, these 2 pieces can come apart together, and then you can just unbolt this, and it makes it so much easier. So, sorry if you're working on this yourself and you're following along with these videos. Yeah, you found out probably the same time I did that it would be easier doing it the other way. But never done one of these before. So if you're in the same boat, you're learning with me. Is this raise or lower? Okay, this raises up. Sweet, right in place. That looks like an excellent seal the whole way around. Happy with that. And it goes back to neutral. That's the big part. All right, and that also looks like a very good seal. So now we release. Little squeaky, but goes right back to neutral. With this part done, you'll see there's this little triangle right here. So there is a piece in the kit, and there it is. There is that piece, and that literally replaces this crapped out piece. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some blue painter's tape, and I'm going to mark this off so I know exactly where to put this, and then I can peel this off, clean it. Then it's the same thing. It's some of the super yellow trim adhesive, and then same thing, got to spray this to replace that, and then we'll come and glue that on, and then this portion of it will be done. Okay, so now everything is dried, and you think, oh wow, this thing, it's too dry now. It's not going to stick. It's going to stick. It's going to stick and never let go. Okay, sticky to sticky, and I'm putting it in the exact same spot that the old one came off, and this little piece was hanging out over the edge, so I'm assuming it's supposed to be like that and not put on wrong. I don't know, but that's how it's going back. So this is the entire and this portion here will actually bolt into the other side of the case. So this is the whole inside portion of your housing. And I think what I'm going to do is, because I'm long-winded and these videos take forever, and I'm trying to show you guys as much information as I can, and this so much stuff is intricate, like detail work on these, that the videos just end up going on forever. So I'm going to try to break this up into a bunch of small videos. So I'm going to stop it here. I've got this part assembled, and then next we'll worry about everything outside the firewall. I've got to do some prep work to the evaporator and a couple other things. So I think we're going to stop right here, and I'll see you on the next video when we continue on this little adventure that started out as a firewall refurbishment, and now I'm in deep with like 6 different projects here. So that's it for now. Do me a favor, down here somewhere, subscribe, and then hit the bell so you get notifications, and tell a friend. I need all the help I can get. So more subscribers, more likes, more views, it's all good for me. So I appreciate everybody out there that's watching. And if you've got a G-body, I hope this helps you somehow. So I appreciate all the attention and interest, and I will see you next time.